The half-lit corridor behind the studio doors echoed with the hushed hum of machinery, the soft footsteps of crew, and the quiet rustle of scripts. Charlotte's heels clicked on the linoleum as she passed the sound booth entrance, the green light blinking, on air soon. She paused. For a moment, she looked at herself in the window of the control room, saw the version of herself the world watched each morning, poised, cheerful, confident. Then she stepped inside. This morning had felt off from the moment she slipped into the makeup chair, though she couldn't place exactly why. The bright lights, the teleprompter script, the cue for her to sit ready at 6 a.m., routine, familiar. Yet somewhere beneath the surface, a subtle tremor had begun. She felt the weight of all the faces in the studio, the production team, the presenters, the camera that would soon track her, the nation watching. And then, the invitation, or rather, the omission. Earlier that week, the show's executive producer had asked Charlotte to join a special live segment, a cross-channel event, the biggest morning collaboration they'd done in years. It would be broadcast simultaneously on GMB and an evening show on the sister channel. For days, Charlotte had prepared, extra reading, extra dress rehearsals, staying late reviewing the graphics, thinking about key questions. She'd imagined the moment, her name on the schedule, her voice on 2 slots, the kind of stake-in-the-game promotion she rarely allowed herself to hope for. Then, on the morning of the segment, she got a clipped email. Due to time constraints, we'll go with the regular lineup only. No mention of last-minute staffing. The tone was brusque, almost dismissive. She understood the logic, tight slot, that is TV, but she felt the sting anyway. And today she was scheduled to read the headlines, segue into the main news block, then hand over to the co-presenter and leave the studio. A normal morning. Too normal. She walked past the props cupboard, the coffee bar, the bank of monitors showing the live feed. She overheard a producer quietly say, "We'll keep it standard today." And something inside her splintered. She made her way to the green room. The lights were dim. She sank into the sofa, removed her jacket. She tried to breathe steadily. The door opened, and her co-presenter stepped in, smiling, unaware of the current inside her. "Big show today. Ready?" he said. She forced a smile. "Yes," she answered with a crisp nod. "Let's do it." Behind them, the makeup artist approached, but Charlotte's gaze drifted to the studio glass window. Through it, she saw the camera lights, the crew in motion, the teleprompter ticking down. She saw the absence, her absence from that special segment that mattered, the omission that felt like a cool gust prayer. When the producer's voice came through her earpiece, 2 minutes to air, she exhaled. On air, she read the headlines flawlessly, her voice steady, confident, as if steel. But finishing her segment, the teleprompter cue to hand over arrived, and she paused. She looked to the camera, then to the co-presenter. The live connection faded. The next block started. When the cameras went off, she left the set and slipped into the corridor. The adrenaline drained. Walls suddenly felt too narrow. Her breath came shallow. She walked until she found a quiet corner near a storage cupboard. She sank onto a low step, folded her hands in her lap, and then the tears came. They were not loud. They were quiet. A single tear, then another. She didn't try to stop them. She remembered the email, the omission, the excitement, the preparation. She remembered all the early mornings, The times she walked into studio before dawn, waves of anticipation, the smell of coffee backstage, her daughter's photo tucked inside her script folder, reminding her, "You matter. You are seen." "Why did I think this time would be different?" she whispered to the empty corridor. No answer came except motionless emptiness, a humming of cables overhead, the distant laughter of a crew member prepping props. The contrast between that jovial sound and the solitude of the corridor made her heart ache. Moments later, a colleague, one of the producers, found her there. He knelt beside her. "Hey," he said softly, not touching her, just offering presence. "You okay?" She shook her head. "I'm fine," she said. "Just tired, I suppose." But her voice cracked, and she laughed, a brittle laugh, and disappointed. He nodded. "I know about the segment," he said quietly. "And I'm sorry. It was a last-minute change, and somehow you got left out. I know how hard you worked." She looked up at him. "It wasn't even about the segment," she said. "It's about feeling invisible." He exhaled. "I know, but you're not. To all of us, you're not. Don't let this one snub convince you otherwise." She studied his face in the corridor's half-light. For a second she saw compassion, recognition. Then he stood up and left, leaving her alone again. She pressed her palms to the wall, closed her eyes, and allowed the tears to flow. She remembered the email, the omission, the excitement, the preparation. She remembered all the early mornings, the times she walked into studio before dawn, waves of anticipation, the smell of coffee backstage, her daughter's photo tucked inside her script folder, reminding her, "You matter. You are seen." When the tears subsided, she wiped her face, stood up, smoothed her hair, adjusted her jacket, took a deep breath. She walked back towards the set and lifted her chin. The studio lights glowed through the glass. The show was about to go live again, and she would read the next news bulletin. She would cue the next story. She would keep going. In the studio once more, she took her place, the earpiece in, the monitor tracking. She saw the red on-air light again. Her voice came out steady, and behind the camera, unseen, the crew watched. But this time, she held something new, a quiet resolve. She would not allow the snub to define her. She would not allow invisible become invisible. Later, after the show ended, she walked to the makeup room. A friend presenter handed her a cup of tea. "You okay?" he asked. She smiled gently. "Yes," she said. "I am. And I will be." Her heart still bruised, but her spirit firm. In the days that followed, the corridor would hold its usual bustle, the show its usual pace. But Charlotte carried with her something changed. She carried the memory of being overlooked and the determination to step out of the shadows on her own terms. She carried the knowledge that sometimes, despite all the effort, we get bumped from the big moment, that the omission may hurt deeply, but that the true story is what we do after the snub. Do we let it silence us, shrink us, or do we rise? She chose the latter. And so, behind the scenes of early morning coffee cups and camera ticks, Charlotte grew a quiet fire. She grew it with soft words to herself in the shower, with extra hours of script reading in the makeup mirror, with the photo of her daughter taped behind her script folder, reminding her, "You matter. You are seen." And the next time the opportunity came, maybe bigger, may be different. She would walk into the studio not just ready, but confident. Because the snub was bruising, yes, but it was not the story. The story was hers.